Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Hi, Mariam. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, it's perfect. Thank you.
Um, all right. Awesome. So let's give it a couple of more minutes. Hi, everyone. So everyone can join and we can get this started. Thank you so much. All right, everyone. Let me take the opportunity to thank you for joining our webinar today. This webinar is being recorded, so later you will have access to the video and all the questions, everything you need is accessible to you later. And I just wanted to ask for a favor. And if you basically had a question or there was some part that you want to learn more and get your questions answered at the beginning, at the end of this session, we're going to have a Q&A and everyone will have a choice to basically share their questions and we're here to answer that. All right, so with that, let's get us started. The topic for today's webinar is Startup Visa Peer Review. And peer review, as you know it, is one of the most challenging parts of a startup visa journey because it's best, if I want to describe it, it's vague. There are not certain requirements and certain basically guidelines issued by IRCC and NACO for startups to follow. So it's something that you basically have to rely on the experience of other people or consultants, lawyers that have been through that. And in this webinar, we're going to go over the most common topics that come up again and again during peer review or questions that RCC will ask from startups. And for those companies that have been working with us, this is something that we've been emphasizing since day one. We've been preparing startups for peer review since day one. It's not going to happen for every startup, but you need to be prepared, because by the time that you are invited to address a peer review question, you must have prepared everything, because you don't have time that much. All right, so with that said, let's get us started. An introduction about our company. So we are a business and technology company. We've been in business for about 10 years. And for the past 4 years, we've been working with startup visa companies and helping them to not only file for startup visa, but also basically prepare their startup for success. And we have a large portfolio. We have over 201 startups as of now that we have directly and indirectly consulted, and we've supported them throughout their startup journey. So we have a lot of experience when it comes to IRCC questions, NACO questions, and things that come up later as due diligence. And in this video, we're going to go over some of them. These are the two last startups that we have incubated in Six Success, and they've directly received their PR. So there were startups that, like you, startup visa applicants that followed a almost like 2-year process for preparing their startup and continuing their progress, and finally received their PR directly. So for Corsana, it was a direct approval, no question asked from IRCC. And for Tech and Soul, there were a couple of questions and there were a couple of requirements that came our way, and we helped them to basically prepare answers. And right after that, we submitted, they were approved. And we're going to do the same thing for all our startups. And this is also a screenshot of some of our startups that we've incubated in the past, and some of them received PR, some of them are waiting still, and some of them are going under peer review. And so this is just to share that we have a lot of experience when it comes to doing this. So before we get us started with the details, I want to share the structure of how a startup visa is being reviewed. So you all know about the IRCC. It's an immigration department that basically authorizes you to come to Canada. They are the one that issues the permanent residency ultimately. But there is also a company or collaborating entity called NACO. And NACO is basically a technology business, basically consulting for IRCC. And the reason is that no immigration department is equipped enough to basically vet and review all sorts of startups. They're AI related startups, they're blockchain related startups, they're medical related to dentistry, and you name it. So in order to be able to be fair to the applicants, and also vet only startups that can add value to Canada, they have partnered with a company called NACO. And basically, NACO has a lot of consultants. There are a lot of officers that are familiar with topics that we're going to share. And after reviewing the packages, the IRCC, the PR packages that your lawyers submit, they can go through it and they can vet the startup and see if it's a good and qualified startup for Canada. And in order for you to ultimately be successful at Canada Startup Visa, you need to make sure that you fit and address all requirements for both NACO and IRCC. It's not okay or enough for you to just pay attention to IRCC requirements, which is more transparent, because they've been communicating with immigration lawyers for a while, so they know what type of documents they need. But when it comes to NACO, every time we see a peer review or request for information, it's something new. There is always something new in that. And so you need to be as a startup ready and a startup team ready to be able to address all the questions. And in order to do that, the only way is to make progress after you receive your letter of support. So the most important point I wanted to basically relay here to you is you need to, as a startup, have the mindset that there is no fixed set of criteria or rules that, there's like a check mark that if I do this, I'll be successful. It's a fluid and dynamic relationship between you and IRCC and NACO. So you need to actually make progress, and not only as a company but also individually, that I'll explain later, and be ready at any point to address all the questions. And we have seen a lot of questions that really they were not basically expected at the beginning. So it made you think twice that, oh, I should have worked on that area as well. And the purpose of this slide is that you need to make sure that as an entrepreneur, you are always in the mindset of improvement, both for yourself and for your startup. And after reviewing like a lot of startups that have gone through peer review, or they've gone through IRCC rounds of questions, we have identified almost over 78 areas as of now, as of today. Tomorrow we may receive other requirements, but as of now, we've received over 78 areas that IRCC and NACO are interested to learn and vet startups against. And in this webinar, we're going to go over some of them that repeat almost all the time. So every time we receive like a letter for requirements, questions, everything, we see these happening. And I hope that after this webinar, you have a better understanding, at least the core structure of your business and a startup. So one of the things is the updated business plan. Every time they reach out, they want to have the updated business plan. A lot of startups, when they graduate from incubator, they think that's done. The business plan is complete, and they don't need to do anything. Basically, business plan is a living thing, is a living document that reflects the status of your startup. So there are marketing changes, there are financial changes, there are market changes that are happening, and you need to adapt to that change and also update your business plan. And you need to make sure that the milestones, there are some dates, there are some costs in the business plan that you need to make sure it's updated all the time. Because if you do not have a plan to constantly update your business plan, then when IRCC reached out to you to get the latest version, they typically give you like 7 days or maximum 30 days. But this 7 or 30 days is not only for you, it's for incubator to vet, review, and submit the data to. So it's much less time available to you to basically prepare those documents at the time. You want to make sure that you have done your part and have mechanisms in place and prepared these documents. And some of the areas that you need to basically address in the business plan is the concept of your product. You show that you researched the idea. As of today, with the market changes, you've set up the cost structure, everything. And typically, incubators have their own version of template for business plan, and that's what you ultimately need to submit. However, in order to be able to basically add information to those sections, you need to have proactively research and collect information for your business plan all the time. And also, there are some validations that you need to make. Like, you submit an idea 2-3 years ago, you've been working on that, but has there been any change to the industry or market that you need to be aware of? And you need to actually reflect in your startup, because some technology advancements will literally make your startup or idea obsolete, or there's a better version for it now, and we want to make sure that we're ready. So one of the areas that you need to, in order to simplify the process, is to ultimately answer the questions of the business canvas model. This is like a map for you to have all the time, like basically 3 months, every 3 months you can have this, and with your partners, with your team members, you can sit down and review the map and see how things are changed, like the channels, the key resources, revenue models, or whatever is changed, and you can update it. This is the first step before you start basically reviewing your or updating your business plan. And one of the areas that, as an example, I wanted to share is the Starlink. Starlink is a company that provides satellite communication, and it's a sub company of SpaceX. And what they do is that they made satellite communication affordable. So if you were a startup that had a product in satellite communication or communication in general, and you wanted to basically disrupt the industry, make something cheaper, better, faster, and with the emergence of companies like Starlink 2 years ago, that they offered this service for $100 a month, you cannot basically ignore this. You need to think about it and say, oh, this is a new player, this is a new infrastructure, how it will affect my communication infrastructure, how it's going to affect my startup as a general. So all the startups that when somehow related to communication, to satellite, transportation, and live broadcasting of the data is now being affected. They need to go back to business canvas model here and think about every part in order to make sure that their business is relevant, their startup is relevant. So this is an example, and this happens across the board. You can see that in medical, you can see agriculture. Now there are drones basically taking pictures of the land and crops for your what you produce on a farm. So it's very important that you basically monitor the industry and add everything that's being invented into your arsenal. The second part is the intellectual property. Intellectual property is something that they ask all the time. Like you invented an idea, a product, a service. How does it compare to other people that are competing with you in the industry? They have intellectual property. What do you have? And it's important that you understand there are different types of intellectual property. Is not only like patents. There are other parts, and we've heard like about utility patent, design patents, plant patent, provisional, non-provisional, copyright, and trademarks. And every part of this is considered IP, intellectual property. And sometimes you have a software that basically it can be copyrighted, it can be trademarked, it can be used as a patent for non-provisional type. There are a lot of services, and you want to make sure that you consult a IP specialist that will help you. What is the best step forward? What's the best path for your startup and service to get the patent and IP? But you need to have that figured. Another thing that they all the time ask is about sales and marketing. So sales and marketing is very important because it's basically the way that your startup can earn money, can get exposure, and share their assets to the world is through this. And they're not typically expecting you to make sales. Like when you are abroad and you've not landed in Canada, they don't expect you to have sales, but they expect you to have figure out the structures, the go-to-market strategies, the sales plan, the templates, the emails, how you want to execute that. And that falls under CRM, a service that we provide. We set up a CRM for our startups to kind of like help them prepare for this step. And it's very, very important that you be prepared. So our consultants and our team are ready to basically provide you with the necessary information, so you could be ready for this, and you have all the setup ready. And it's very important to have that figured, because sales marketing is something that takes time. It's not something that you realize, oh, I don't have that, and 1 week left, let's do that. It's something that definitely takes time. So I highly recommend that you prep for this beforehand. And the other thing is the non-IP assets. Non-IP assets, there are different categories that we can talk about, but we're talking about suppliers, consultants, clients and customers, business contracts, operation and HR contracts. So in order for you as a business to be successful in Canada and run smoothly and be on the path for growth, you need to have these figured. Like suppliers, have you identified your suppliers? Yes, in the business plan we talked about this, but where's your list? Have you collected the list of suppliers and consultants, and have you communicated with them in order to see what is realistic for the product to be produced? List of clients and consultant. Yes, we talk about it generally in business plan, but it's not enough. You need to curate a list of customers and clients, so you can basically all the time be able to communicate with them and share your plan and see which one they're more interested. Another one is the business contracts. In order to hire consultants, in order to hire suppliers, you need to have business contracts ready. So this is something that they look for a startup to have. And also ultimately how they hire, and their templates and their contracts that you need to have and prepared for your startup to run. Another one is the corporate records. It's one of the most obvious ones. So they need articles of incorporation, records of board and shareholder meetings. Every startup, in order to be successful, they should have constant and continuous improvement internally. They should be able to communicate with each other and sit down and make plans, decide. And one of the areas that they one of the methods that they do it through shareholder meetings. So you need to, every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you need to sit down with your team, write down the decisions you make and execute them, and then bring back the results next time and kind of do an internal improvement. And it's something that definitely indicates that you are in a startup that actively working on your projects towards reaching your goals. Website is one of the most important parts, because it's the window of your business to officers. They look at it, and also customers. They look at it and see if it's something that can solve their problem or address their question. So you need to make sure that you have a simple, beautiful design that is simple to understand. Like somebody that has not been around your business, when they look at it and they read about it, they understand it. And it should be like having a professional design as a startup, because no startup can be successful with the ugly, confusing theme or website. It's necessary for startups to consider a good design, and also having everything with original license. We have seen questions about, show us the certificate or the license for the technology you purchased on your website. Show us that you own the copyright and the intellectual property of that image on your website. It's not that you Google something on the internet and then you add it on your website. It's a red flag, because ultimately you need to show everything you put on your startup website is yours, and you can prove that. So it's very important. And yeah, it's fall under copyright licenses, original software, and server licenses. And also you need to make sure your website is updated with blogs, content achievements and everything. So if you as a startup participate in a competition, international festival or something like that, you need to reflect those achievements and milestones on your website, especially those that you have shared already during your incubation with the incubator and have milestones. Let's say you mentioned you're going to reach out or to this supplier 2 years in 2 years, and then now 2 years pass. You need to show that in your website that you've accomplished that. Another important one is MVP and product. So no matter what's your startup and what's your service, you need to continuously work on that and make that make improvements towards your startup product. There are different iterations that maybe it's a design completion, it's a design upgrade or hardware upgrade, whatever it is. You need to make continuous steps and improvements toward your product. And it's again going back to the things that I shared earlier in my presentation, that there are no set rules or regulations. A couple of years ago, these were not as important as today. You could highlight it, what you're going to build, and that might have been enough. But now it's different. You need to demonstrate, you need to show that, what you say, you can develop it, you can build it. And it's important that you as a startup is ready to prepare to kind of like execute the plans that you promised in the business plan. And also it goes to the software and dashboard. You need to make sure that you have mechanisms in place to document your changes, how you identify features, how you improve them, how you build them, and what are the results. It's the dashboards or whatever you need to do. Continuous training. It's one of the most important things. I cannot emphasize this enough, that you as a startup and you as an individual in that startup, you need to be on the path for improvement, for optimization. You need to go through classes, get certificates. You need to prepare yourself for entrepreneurship and basically making your startup a success. You need, as a team, to have certain trainings and certain assets prepared. And also individually, you need to, based on your role in the business plan, you need to prepare yourself. If you are a CTO, you're expected to know some certain technology topics. It's not like you need to be a developer or something like that, but you need to understand the technology. You're ultimately going to hire people in Canada and abroad to build the product. So someone who is not a developer is not expected for them to become a developer. But you need to understand to have efficient communication with the technical teams. If you are a non-technical person as a role of CTO, you're in charge of communicating the features and everything with the team. But if you don't have that knowledge and understanding, it would be a challenge, right? So basically, you need to demonstrate that whatever your role has, your CMO, CPO, or CTO, whatever role you have gone through continuous training and improvement. And this is one of the areas that we help a lot, because in the community that we're launching January 4th, we have identified trainings for roles. We have identified the assets, the documents, the templates, whatever it's needed for a startup to operate smoothly, and also individuals to optimize and upgrade their knowledge. We have packed that in the community, and it's something that you can benefit from. So again, going back to services that we shared last week, what I'm going to reiterate what we do. So all the services that I explained here, plus 78 areas that I shared earlier, so we can help startups to prepare and get acquainted with through our monthly continuous activity plan, meaning that you'll be part of our cohorts, and we will teach you and we will share with you the templates, and we will basically enable you to prepare for all those activities. And the cost is $870 Canadian per month. And it's something that, if you need 3 months, you can just have it for 3 months. If you need it for 3 years, you can do it. It's something that is a continuous development, but you want to make sure that you definitely benefit from that. Another one is the community. It's a yearly membership for $999 USD. So by paying that, that's per member. Any member in the startup can access the community and have all the assets that they need in order to be prepared and successful for their startup. And finally is the product development. If you have a startup and you have a product, but you do not have the consulting and business teams that basically help you build a design and make that product, we are ready to help you. We have partner factories, 1,500 factories around the globe, that we can help you not only design the physical product, but you can build it. We can help you bring it to the market. And so you can rely on us as a technology and business consultant. So these are services that we offer, and we highly recommend that you benefit either through us or other consultants, but you need to have your startup ready in order to be successful. I know I talked a lot, and this is the post-LOS services, the details. Some of it, we're preparing the next slides. And we're going to share all of that with you later, so you don't have to kind of take note. All I want for now is that I want to make sure that you've gained some knowledge, you learned something new, and now we're ready to help you. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to us through our email, info@sixsuccess.com. And this is my WhatsApp that you can reach out if you have any questions. And also we have a invitation link, a booking link. Just give me one moment. All right. So I'm going to share this in the chat. And if after reviewing this, you think that we can help you, you can book an appointment with us, and we will be happy to join and help you in any way possible. All right. So I think that concludes the presentation today, and we're ready to answer your questions. If you have any questions, please just open your mic and ask the question, or share it in the chat. And don't be shy. If you wanted to ask the question Persian or Farsi, that's completely okay. اگر میخواید فارسی هم سوال بپرسید, I think because majority of the people in this webinar are Persians, so it would be completely okay اگر میخواید به صورت فارسی هم سوال بپرسید, کاملا اوکی است. خب من در خدمتتون هستم. به چند دقیقه رو اختصاص میدیم به سوال جواب. مرسی. Yes, Amirjan, you can share your screen, or basically open your mic and ask your questions. All right. So, Amir, I'm giving you the mic.
Hi, Hussein.
Hi, Amir. How are you doing?
Not bad. How are you?
I'm doing good. Do you want to first introduce your startup and share what you do?
Yeah, of course, sure. First of all, thanks a lot, Hussein, for all the uh, great information and very useful tips about startups and entrepreneurship journey. Um, yes, so my name is Amir. I'm one of the founders at Greenwater Planet, and I guess now that we are speaking, it's been more than almost more than 2 years that I have been working with Hussein with the startup visa program journey. And our startup is named Greenwater Planet, and we are manufacturing a membrane that can remove or filter out microplastics in wastewater treatment. Um, and Our team has applied for a startup visa program as well, and we are in the process. Um, I wanted to, Hussein, I wanted to ask you a question. Like based on all the comments and I guess conversations that you had with IRCC in regards to reviewing the startups, peer review processes, everything. Do you think the focus is has been more on idea itself, like officers will focus if the idea is feasible and kind of profitable in Canada, or they are more focused on if the group or the team is the ones who has the expertise to implement or kind of execute the business. Which side do you think is more important? Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's a really good question because it's been brought uh, up a lot of times. And the answer to answer this question is that if you check the RCC website about the definition of a startup, they want to make sure that there are two requirements. If I'm not make a mistake, it's innovative and it can create jobs in Canada, right? So the expectation is that your incubator at the beginning has vet that first phase. So there are many startups that apply, but they're not approved at the incubation because either their startup is not innovative enough, or it's not scalable, or it's something that it doesn't fit to the requirement. So my expectation is that any startup that has gone through that has already passed the first phase as a startup. However, the question is very valid. As a startup team, what you need to do, it's not enough for a startup to pass the first phase. Ultimately, every single individual in the startup will be vetted by IRCC. So, especially if you're an essential partner, if you're essential, it means that without you, the business can't go and be a reality in Canada. So, it's vital for, like you said, every single startup founder uh, be prepared and have the training, have the mentorship for the past since getting their letter of support. Because once the IRCC comes and say, "Oh, you as the CMO, show us the credibility, show us what you have done in your startup," then you need to be able to show it. So I think to answer your question, at this stage, the second part is much more important.
Okay. Thank you very much, Hussein.
Absolutely. And so I've shared Amir's website on the chat. Make sure to follow them on LinkedIn. Also, they're developing some really cool products up on landing. I know that they have plans to create a smart meters for Canadians to control water usage. And they're building membranes. You can check the products on the website. So they're really making a good progress towards that. And I know that we've been in contact for a lot of areas of the startups. And he's one of the founders that been continuously working on improving not only his side of being founder, but also their startup. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right, so share the link. Okay, so I think this is the link. If you share this one, there should be okay to join. And we've recorded this session, so ultimately we will share that with you so they can watch it. And we will also embed this webinar on our website, so later they can watch it. All right, so let's see. All right, so I've received some messages. All right, so hold on. I've also shared a poll in the chat. I appreciate if you could answer that poll. I want to know if this type of webinars is useful for you. So in future, do we want to basically continue having these types of webinars for you? Do you find value in that, or it's something that other topics that you would prefer us to focus? I appreciate if you answer that poll. All right, so I wanted to make sure that it's everyone has access and everyone can answer the question, get their questions answered. So is there anything else that while we are on the webinar, I can help you with? And like I said, if you need to have a one-on-one meeting with us, you can book a meeting. I shared the link earlier, but I share it here again. Yeah, definitely. We will share the presentation, and we share the products on our website soon. We're revamping our website with the new services. So keep an eye on basically our website. This is our website here. So keep an eye on that. We're going to dedicate a section for packages like community, pre-LOS, post-LOS. But one thing is that for community and continuous development part that I shared earlier, we're going to have a price increase in next year. So this is a price only for our own startups and startups that we work with earlier, so they can lock in the cost and pricing. But after that, it's going to be a higher cost for everyone. I hope that answered your question. All right, team. Let me see. There are a few people that answered the poll. If you check the poll section and answer that would be great. All right, awesome. All right, I think that would be it. And we were going to have other webinars that we share topics with you, and we share improvements. And I would like also to invite startups that make progress on a stage to basically they introduce themselves and they share their progress. And that way we can have a better community all around. Thank you so much. And if you do not have any more questions, I wish you a good day and night, and see you hopefully soon. We're welcome. Thank you, everyone.